or to work so hard to still go through with something even though it's scary, and then to have people in your life verbalize their fear for you. A lot of those things created a very confused inner world for me. Hello. Oh, my neck just cracked. Oh. Hello, friends, fans, fam, and foes. Welcome back to another episode of Meshcast. Today, our entry is titled Kissing Through Tears. But before we get into that, I wanted to share a new little sketchbook style I've been playing with. It's especially great for watching TV because it's like a scribble style. It is a scribble style. And it doesn't require you to be looking at what you're doing. So, this is the first one. And what's fun about it is that I can encode messages. So, the title of this week's epi, let's see if it shows up. No. You won't be able to see it, huh? Maybe there. I'll include a clip of them in the dark. So, highly recommend you just, if you're into blacklight art and you want to do secret messages for yourself, then grab yourself a highlighter and then you just start filling in the page. I'll insert a time lapse here as well, but it's very addicting and very satisfying, and I like mixing up the size of the pen to get little like hair strand detail, or to fill up more space because I'm impatient. Anyway, it's fun. It's therapeutic. But it's not the message of today. Oh, shit. I have my door open and I've been ignoring the crows, but now I have to reset my tripod because it's outside. Fine. They're like, shut the fuck up. Okay. Please hold. Without further ado, grab yourself a coffee. I have water today in my, as I drool, Stanley, because it's not morning here, and tomorrow Amy will not be happy with me if I have coffee. All right, today's entry is from August 2020, Deep in the Woods. Something feels very wrong. This camping trip so far has been a roller coaster for me. I feel like I have so many emotions running through me that I need to write, but I'm intimidated by it, for lack of a better word. Feels like the right one, though. Last night I had, as usual, a very chaotic dream. There were 1,000 things that went on, but I feel like the most symbolic was when I got in a fight with the person I was dating, and they started throwing and breaking things. I ran away thinking, we're over, I'm free. When I got to my room, in the dream, I slammed the door. My hair was in my face, covering my eyes. Someone came in and was kissing me, and when I realized who it was, I just started sobbing while kissing them back. The symbolism became clear when I realized that the person I was kissing was the same one that I'd been relieved to be free of earlier in the dream. That's the kicker. This weekend has been full of ups and downs, and I have been confused. I don't know whether I'm happy or not. I feel like I don't know how to. I don't know why I can't just enjoy myself out here in nature. I don't know why I can't be joyful and leave it at that. I guess part of it is that the people I'm here with are all old friends and I'm new to the group. While I do feel comfortable with them, it's still tiring for me to keep up in a way. I feel out of place. I feel broken. I feel emotional and unsure and out of control. I don't know how to be myself and not worry whether I'm saying the wrong thing. I wish I could just be happy. I wonder if I'll ever achieve that. I want to be held, but I don't want anyone to know I'm sad and bring down the mood of the trip. I don't know how to live this life in this body. I'm afraid. I'm confused. I don't want to leave, but I do. I don't understand why I can't just know what I want, why I can't just be happy and proceed. What lessons are you aiming to teach me, God? What would you like me to learn? To put on a face? To just be grateful? To still find joy, or to be okay with darkness? Toby's barkarooning.
Okay, thank you, Toby. That's enough. Thank you, buddy. Help.
I'm hella hot. Can we deal with the crow noise? We can cope while I'm yapping, right? But can I focus with the door? So when I'm choosing which entries to post, to share, I try to go with the ones that either make me go, whoa, I wrote that, or like they're it's like vignettes or like whatever representations of me working through something or how I work through my chaotic way of thinking. Anyway, so I try to go with something that feels like it might be impactful to me or to someone else. Right? And so I'm trying to think of what it was about this one specifically. And I mean, honestly, there's a lot of interesting stuff in here. The first thing that's coming to me, though, is just thinking about how debilitating this pattern was that I was experiencing, which was like, I guess it's just like a severe insecurity, but it was like, well, I mean, it's August 2020, right? This is probably like the most people I had been around in months. And I think for many people, going from masking every day to being at home every day and isolated and then going back out was jarring. And I had experienced a small version of this when I went pre-pandemic from a hybrid job to a in the office every day job, and I felt so out of place. Like, I just felt like I was such a weirdo wallflower, and I was like, but at that point, you know, this is after months of isolation rather than going from like a 1 day a week in the office to 5 day a week in the office. This is like 0 days in months, right? And so I just felt like, I guess I had kind of forgotten how to blend in a little. But at the same time, I was also kind of at the start of this, because I started doing morning pages in 2019, and that's really when a lot of these entries and stuff are from. So I was, you know, already on this journey to some extent, this self-awareness journey, I guess. It's healing, self-awareness, I don't know, just, this isn't even what no, but it is. So when COVID hit, when isolation started, I remember looking out the window of my bedroom, and it kind of hit me that my social calendar was no more. And I had spent the majority of my 20s with a very mostly full social calendar. But at the same time, as a creative soul, I had often complained about how my social my socializing got in the way of me putting time into my art. And then when COVID hit and I was forced to not socialize, I kind of, art aside, since I hadn't really been doing it much, I was like, who am I? Who am I outside of the context of other people? And that is really when a lot of my deeper healing began, I think, or deeper self-awareness, whatever. I mean, really just developing a relationship with myself. I like to think of this body as almost like a separate person, but it's like my soul or my spirit or my psyche is something, and it was, deposited into this body when I was born, and I am getting to know this body throughout my life. And that includes, likes and dislikes, food preferences, things I can eat, can't eat, music tastes, things that make my skin crawl or not. Like the other day I was spending time with a friend who is also neurodivergent, and I got this new fidget that I've been really excited about, that is particularly for like pain stimming, so you're supposed to like squeeze it. So it's this thingy. I love it so much. I highly recommend. It's so fun. Anyway, non-spawn, but everyone I've like showed it to has really liked it, and I handed it to her. I was like, oh my god, you got to try this. And she was like, oh, I don't like that. I don't want, no, thank you. It was just such a funny and a good example of the way that we're all just friggin' different, man. Like, and we're all just figuring it out as we go, right? Like, you try something, you learn you don't like it. You try something, you learn you do like it. You don't know until you try, but there are some things, of course, that we can know we don't want without trying. But the point is that in my last episode, I talked about how do you choose who to be. And that is a lot of what was going on here, was that I was very lost in my identity because I had realized that so much of my identity was attached to my social calendar and my work, just the people in my life. I'm who I am at work, I'm who I am in my relationship, I'm who I am with this friend, I'm who I am with this group of friends, I'm this person at happy hour, yada yada yada. And I knew how to perform in all of those settings, but it was like when I was sitting at home by myself, it's like, who am I here? And then I started exploring that, and trying to understand that and get to know this person, get to know this body that I was born into, and this person that I was destined to become, I suppose, to put it heavily. Long story longer, reading this makes me realize that this was the first of a long line of trips that were supposed to be easy, wonderful, chill, friends. Nothing like, no one's judging me. There's no one there that I don't like, or there's no one there that I don't particularly get along with. I don't dislike or have beef or anything with anyone that I'm there with. They're like the chillest people. And I just was like beside myself with anxiety and like this dread, this like just I was just such a dark cloud, and I suppose a lot of us were during this time, and I'm sure no one noticed, frankly. But what's interesting here, right, is in this dream, I am talking about getting in a fight with this person and then being like, oh my God, I'm so glad, like, we're over, I'm free. And then I'm in my own space, and then they come in, and basically it's like, kiss and make up and, yeah, unspokenly forgive them by kissing them back. So that to me is a very clear representation of, you know, being stuck in a cycle, essentially, repeating the same mistakes, or being your own saboteur by not actually walking away when you say you're going to walk away, or that I'm addicted to chaos or willing to put up with chaos, or willing to continue masking who I am just to be what the other person is hoping for. And so that leads to a lot of self-doubt and lack of clarity in my convictions and my opinions and my preferences. It's like throughout my life, I've been told by people that, you know, certain choices that I thought I really thought through were the wrong ones. And, you know, decisions that felt right to me, that I was so sure of, to then have it be confronted by the fact that there's this whole other way of thinking about it that I missed. And, you know, or to work so hard to still go through with something even though it's scary, and then to have people in your life verbalize their fear for you. You know, a lot of those things created a very confused inner world for me of, you know, just feeling like I didn't have a leg to stand on with anything, frankly. But I just kept trying to write it out and talk about it with safe people and make art about it, and you know, just trust that the universe has a plan or will present me with opportunities to grow through what I was going through. And I'm very fortunate to say that this last summer, oh, am I getting emotional? This last summer, I had 2 trips with some of my best friends, but even with them in the past during this chapter, even with them, trips were hard. My self-doubt inner voice, my critical inner parent voice got the best of me, and I wound up just fighting off anxiety for most of the trip. And then when I look at photos from the trip, I just remember how distraught I actually was on the inside, even though like nothing was wrong. I just was so consumed with fear that I was being too much, that I was annoying, that I was saying the wrong things, or that I was ugly. It's like, anyway, so this past summer were the first trips that I actually felt whole and grounded and safe and comfortable and light and present. Sorry for the airplane noise. So yes, these last 2 trips with my friends, it was just such a relief. I will share that I've talked about ADHD medication in a couple of my videos, and I believe I've also mentioned that I'm no longer taking it. It, for me, exacerbated too many negative symptoms, but I have found a really good spot with Prozac. I first was introduced or recommended it for PMDD. That was like the catalyst for the prescription. But I started taking it for that, and I've found it to be a really great med for me. But yes, so anxiety medication has been helpful, but also the real recognition and understanding, learning about the way that my brain works and my particular neurodivergence, whatever neurodivergent type, has been huge in creating a stable sense of self that I then bring with me on these trips to the woods, to friends, whatever, where it's like, I know that if I'm feeling particularly annoying, then I probably need some time to myself to like do something quiet and recentering, like draw, or if there's a piano available, maybe I'll futz around on the piano, listen to music, dance around, maybe just like take a shower, take my time, basically just time to be like, okay, I'm worried about being too much, and whether or not that's true is not relevant, but this state of mind is very very relevant. It's top of mind for me. So I'm just going to remove myself from the equation, remind myself who I am over here, and then come back a refreshed, chilled out version of myself. Or at least, if I'm not chilled out, they've had a break from me. And so I come back in like a tornado, but it's fine. They got some quiet time. Thankfully, the people in my life love me for me. But in the case like this camping trip, you know, where I didn't really know anyone that well, or I didn't know these people as well as they knew each other, I definitely felt like I was on the outside a bit, and I wasn't. It's hard when you're with people who don't know you as well as like these people I'm describing, my friends. So anyway, I wish I could just be happy. I wonder if I'll ever achieve that. And I don't know how to live this life in this body. I'm afraid, I'm confused. I don't understand why I can't just know what I want, why I can't just be happy and proceed. What lesson are you aiming to teach me, God? What would you like me to learn? To put on a face, to just be grateful, to still find joy, or to be okay with darkness? I'm getting sweaty again. So yeah, I think I had such a loose grasp on my identity, on my sense of self, that when I was in any environment other than the one that I was used to and could predict, I was just scared, sad, confused, just unsettled, essentially. And then I would try to make sense of that feeling, and I would start coming up with scenarios in my head and stuff like that, and it just goes on and on and on. So it's so sad to read this. I feel out of place, I feel broken, I feel emotional and unsure and out of control. I don't know how to be myself and not worry whether I'm saying the wrong thing. Yeah, so here's another part where knowing who you are is extremely grounding in life, because in our present culture, you know, PC culture, woke culture, just social media, you know, being policed by each other, we are already afraid of, you know, no one wants to say the wrong thing, right? We all worry about that. But there was this thing for me that was like, okay, everyone says be yourself, and you'll find your people, you're beloved, whatever. And I was like, but I feel like whenever I'm myself, I wind up saying something wrong, or I'm like too much, or I'm awkward or something, and I am like, well, what gives? Like, am I supposed to be myself, or is myself wrong? Like, what is up? What's going on here? Airplane again. So anyway, I'll try to wrap this one up just to say that I am so grateful, or I am pleased to say that I'm on the other side of this experience. Well, at least, you know, in this chapter. The chapter I'm in right now, this symptom has subsided because I have built up a lot of tools, kind of like the scribble sketching. I was finding that I was, you know, wanting to watch TV with my husband, but I like have a hard time sitting still, and so I was getting anxious, feeling like I was wasting time, but that was what I wanted to be doing, and so I started doing a little scribble sketching, and it lets me fill up a progress bar while doing something lazy, or doing something unproductive. And, you know, maybe that's unhealthy in the sense of, you know, being like, if we look at that in the context of like our hyper-productive society and hustle culture and all that stuff, you know, maybe it's a side effect of that or a symptom of that. But I also think it's very much just the same reason that we reach for fidgets and stuff, is that our hands like to be busy, and you know what they say, idle hands are the devil's playthings. Such a strange phrase, but it does motivate me sometimes to just, you know, pick up some knitting or something. It's really how I came up with a lot of my style, is just putting something down and then trusting that the process of putting it down makes it worth making, and it will be something, or it won't. At least the process of making it was important, and it was a way of rechanneling whatever anxious energy was coursing through me in the moment, and putting it into something that I'm proud of, even if it's just scribbles on paper. So I think I will end it there. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for your energy. Thank you so much for subscribing. Thank you so much for commenting. Thank you so much for liking. Thank you so much for reading. Thank you for giving even a morsel of a crap about what this gal has to say on this corner of the internet.
Do you remember these? I got it for like $10 at Ross, and I'm so excited to play with it. Catch the video for that soon.
But for now, go ahead and subscribe to my Substack so you get these when they come out on Wednesdays. Not these videos, but the writings. Subscribe to my channel for the analyses on those writings, as well as art videos and yada, yada, yada. Thank you so much for your time. Over and out.